ladies and gentlemen. Good day to everyone out there. We will be getting prepared, getting warmed up. Play some music here where we get things going. We're gonna play a little silent movie here. We're gonna switch to the silent movie mode here in a little bit here. And while we do that, I'm gonna get ready to do the show. This is gonna be Freeqo Talks the News. We're gonna check in on some The Complete Metropolis. This is a silent movie. It's a German movie from 1927. We're gonna play that, and while that plays, I'm gonna get ready for the show. Freeqo Talks the News. I'm Freeqo. I'll see you soon. All right. Well, I don't know what I'm looking at here. That's messing with my head, though. Beautiful. Yeah, that's a beautiful woman. All these beautiful human beings. All right. Let's switch on over to a quieter setting there. There we go. There we go. We're about ready to pause this Spaghetti. That's Spaghetti pause. That is such a cool image. Now that is so cool. What you're seeing behind you, by the way, is a picture of a machine that's designed to destroy itself. Seems fitting for the show. So, I don't think I'm fully collaborating myself. I think no, we're okay. Okay, everything's good. Everything's fine. Everything's fine, ladies and gentlemen. Just had to make sure that everything is ticking on all the dials and all the numbers and appendages or whatnot are corroborated on the dialing matrix and the matrix dial. And there, the boom. There you go. All right. I am Freeqo, and this is Freeqo Talks the News, which is basically I go through the Freeqo Daily Herald, which I compile myself from five different websites where I collate the news, and then I get the best of the best news onto Freeqo, and then I write stuff about it, and then after I write stuff about it, I talk about it. It's as simple as that. What kind of news? Well, show don't tell. Freeqo fires the news fires. Here's our news fire feature here first up. This is China closes in on the office chair catapult revolution. Hundreds of Hong Kong college students are making their own weapons out of school materials in a final showdown with the Hong Kong police, who appear committed to take the last school standing in an effort to cement the control that Chairman Xi has on the city. Watching these kids hold out for what is ultimately a lost cause it's heartbreaking. China, the red fascist version, which began in earnest in 2017, is already fully entangled in Hong Kong from without and from within. These protests just forced the Chinese to reveal the control they already had, the freedom these students had already lost before the protest ever began. Catapults, bombs, and arrows. Hong Kong protesters fight back as Crackdown escalates. This is from CBN. And then an excerpt. Hong Kong police have been engaged in running battles with hundreds of pro-democracy protesters trapped at the city's Polytechnic University today. As a ring of police tightened around them, protesters were fighting with everything they have. Now, communist Chinese troops from the mainland have arrived on the scene, and the crackdown could be about to get much worse. This is CBN. This is okay. Just keep reading. Protesters have used catapults against riot police and armored vehicles, setting at least one armored car on fire with a Molotov cocktail. One police official was hit in the leg with an arrow in some of the worst fighting since the protests began. For days, protesters had barricaded the campus to keep police from getting in. Now, cornered by authorities, they're trying to get out. And I think I expressed it above there where, the key point that I really wanted to make with this is, so what's happened there in Hong Kong is same problem that America has, I guess, whether you want to call it a problem. Let's say it's a problem. Definitely for Hong Kong, it's turned out to be a problem. I think it will probably turn out to be the problem in America as well. But in Hong Kong, well, they have, I guess you could say, a somewhat, ostensibly speaking, open process, but a process that heavily involved money and politics. And Hong Kong found itself, well, not Hong Kong so much as the wealthiest of the wealthiest Hong Kongers, found themselves increasingly realizing the lucrative potential of the mainland. And so, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago at longest, China really began to get a network in place. And you're dealing with, on one side, a democratized, kind of liberalized kind of group of human beings facing off against a highly authoritarian in nature group of human beings. And I don't mean like all the Chinese people, but the Chinese that were coming from the mainland to them. I'm talking about at the highest levels, okay? I'm not talking about all kinds of Chinese mainlanders at lower levels, you know. They have their poors just like we in America. We have our poors. We're almost all of us are the poors. But anyway, they've gotten in there long ago. So everything that's happened is, you know, the back door that China had to be able to take control of Hong Kong sooner was if Hong Kong democratically elected itself out of existence. See, nobody predicted that. And that's essentially what the Hong Kongers realized. And they had nothing to lose because they know full well, like, their kind, the kind of heads that they now have, they have, if you will, democratized heads. And that's an overused term, and I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of what democracy actually is or isn't, but they have democratized heads in the sense that they have an expectation that thought, first and foremost, is theirs and theirs to own and command. This is the fundamental thing that I would wager that these kids are not looking forward to letting go. And there are other factors, I'm sure, but I would say this last group of people, like all the people that had economic reasons, practical, whatever. Well, all reasons are, I guess, in the end, practical in essence, even if they're impractically understood and thus ultimately impractical. But from the individual's perspective, well, anyway. They're already entangled. Their moms, their dads, their fathers, their granddads, grandmas. They're all probably probably okay with this, maybe. So God bless the office chair catapult revolution. Long way may we remember them. I'm sorry. What we should have done was just send a boat over there. Whatever many boats we got to send over. And get these brilliant minds on over to America, because they'd be great over here. Get them over here, man. That's what I say. They're natural Americans. They understand. I bet you they would understand and appreciate very much the value of the Bill of Rights as an ideational construct that is useful to we the poors. Cancel culture comes for the hub. That's right, you heard me right. Brace yourselves. The hub strikes back amid virginity-selling claims that led to PayPal pulling a wholly better than us and knocking the hub off the pal, so to speak. Pornhub slams rumors claiming they offered T.I.'s daughter, Deja Harris, $1 million to lose her virginity on the site, from Celebrity Insider. Excerpt.
You are probably aware of the whole mess and drama that was triggered around T.I. and his family. Not too long ago, it's been revealed that he publicly said he visits the gynecologist together with J.J. Harris just to make sure that she is still a virgin. Yeah, oh gosh, I remember that story. That's, oh man. Listen, man, I'm just saying that, I'm just saying, what kind of level of trust are you building with that child? I'm just saying, the answer is none. Zip, nada, zilchi, ode. You are building so many walls between you and that child when you do that kind of stuff. I mean, that's just my light part. We're moving on. This triggered a huge debate, and Tip was accused. Tip. Oh, no, it's Tip. Okay. All right. Now we're tipping it. I don't know for people. And Tip was accused of being controlled and sexist. It's been also revealed that Pornhub offered the young lady $1 million to lose her virginity on the site. Now the Shade Room reveals there's nothing true about this. Wow. So after the boom to the face from the PayPal. Yeah, that's not cool, man. Not cool. This is not advocation of the hub, okay? I'm neither advocating nor I'm not here to participate in that part of instruction and construction within the design of the parameters of the show that I have set forth before me today. The effort on the show, by the way, the underlying premise is I'm striving not to expletive during the show. That's always a plus. And then the other thing is this is Freeqo Talks. This is not Freeqo Freaks Out. So Freeqo endeavors not to freak out. So yeah, we work on that. We work on that, everybody. We're all working on that together. Trump hearts ASAP. That's $ ASAP though. Drop that $ in, that dollar make you hot. Oh gosh, don't. No, don't do it. Don't say it. Not saying it. And if anybody knew what I was going to say, I didn't say it. In breaking news that is sure to convict Donald Trump of something or move that black love from a stunning 15 to 20% to 25 to 30% approval, it has come out from Spin that Donald was looking to help Mr. Rocky during his dalliance with the Scandinavian dystopia. Impeachment investigation confirms Trump spoke with ambassador about ASAP Dollar Rocky's arrest report. Spin. Here's an excerpt, which I may or may not read all of. We'll see how it goes. The Trump impeachment inquiry is officially underway, and amid all the live tweets and rambling non-questions, another figure caught in the dregs of the Trump administration finally made an appearance in the testimony. According to a New York Times report, Harlem rapper A$AP Rocky was mentioned during the questioning of David Holmes, the State Department official who worked at the U.S. All right, I got bored. Wait, I'm sorry. I can't read it anymore. I didn't think that I would have it in me to read this full story. I just thought it was wonderful, and it probably doesn't deserve any more than that. A bit of balder-dasher blasher. This is the news fires where, I kind of make note of how things are written here, like, impeachment investigation confirms Trump spoke with ambassador about A$AP Rocky's arrest. This is probably written by an SEO AI bot or something. Because you got look at all these hot things that get in here. Try to get some good SEO algorithms here. Impeachment investigation Trump. Impeachment investigation confirms. Come on. And it's just to say, yep, he was looking after A$AP. He was dropping it for A$AP. This could have just said, Trump appears to Trump. I don't know. I have to think about it. My brain doesn't want to think right now. Trump appears to evidence of Trump's effort to A$AP Rocky found in impeachment files. That's like really what we're talking here. But now, so these guys are capitalizing on that juice, man. That juice. Well, you want to see that popping across the wire. Impeachment investment confirms Trump. Trump is guilty. Yes. Or Or impeachment investigation confirms Trump has innocent. He's innocent. Oh wait, ASAP Rocky. But it's great. This is going to help him with the black vote. I mean, if you're rooting for Trump, it's going to help him with the black vote. I'm telling you, you're going to nudge that up 5% bump, man. 5% bump. You get the ASAP bump. The ASAP dap. The ASAP dap. That's what he's getting. Little ASAP dap. We'll see. See if I'm right. See if I'm right. Brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen. This is the part of the show where Freeqo freaks on the future. So this is the favorite part of my show. This is why I do everything, so that I have this part of the show. This is the only part of I'm just kidding. I love all parts of this show. All parts of the show. Actually, stay tuned, because the last part of the show, every show ends with a poem, which is, well, I don't know. It'll be somewhat based, maybe some loosely based on the story that I picked to go with it. But you have to hold on, because that comes at the end. This is Freeqo Freaks on the Future. This is what I do. Look at that. Look at that right there. What the heck is that? You're looking at that? You seeing this little, looks like a whole bunch of suburban centers surrounding an inner forest. That's what it looks like, man. They were designed to recognize our faces for the good of the whole. The more they know us, the better they can track us. This might be the unspoken dark side of news of the new AI processor being worked on for the good of Microsoft by GraphCore, whose very name sounds like an evil corporation in a dystopian universe. GraphCore will solve your needs, but I won't count that against them. They're building a new AI chip that is designed to understand those quirky human qualities that so much of the past AIs have failed to grasp. Things like speech, facial expressions, the way we drive. The idea is to build a human algorithm into the chips, making the learning part much more complete and human-like. We welcome our new robot overlords, but don't worry, this won't lead to rogue robot home invaders anytime soon. And who knows, we humans might yet survive our own inventions. Microsoft sends a new kind of AI processor into the cloud from Ars Technica. Excerpt. GraphCore founder in Bristol in UK 2016 has attracted considerable attention among AI researchers and several $100 million in investment on the promise that the chips will accelerate the computations required to make AI work. Until now, it has not made the chips publicly available or shown the results of trials involving earlier testers. Microsoft, which puts its own money into GraphCore last December as part of a $200 million funding round. Isn't it wonderful if you have that concentration of capital and you can have such impact in the market in the hands of a very few individuals who get together to decide, hey man, how do we shuffle this profit over here into more perpetual profit? How do we do that? Well, it's not literally perpetual, I'm being hyperbolic, but it's theoretically perpetual. Microsoft, which puts its own money, whatever. This is the funding, the use of capital to basically be able to come in and have significant impacts upon markets, cutting off significant opportunities for smaller scale individuals, organizations, companies, whatever, to come across, to take the technologies that companies like Microsoft buy up and patent and hoard for themselves, and to take those same technological discoveries and go off in different paths, maybe better paths, or even if not better paths, just paths may be as good, but a little different, a little variety. But companies like Microsoft, they invest in these wonderful technologies, and they don't turn that technology into open source. They turn it into Microsoft's new kingdom, because IP is that is the essential power outside of the force power itself. But IP in this market is the path towards the potential opportunity for capital that would assure your control of force power. That's really what we're talking about here. So, unlike most chips, now let's get to the science of it, because the science is cool, okay? Unlike most chips used for AI, GraphCore's processors were designed from scratch to support the calculations that help machines to recognize faces, understand speech, parse language, drive cars, and train robots. GraphCore expects it will appeal to companies running business critical operations on AI, such as self-driving car startups, trading firms. Just slow down there. I want you to understand when they're saying trading firms, what this, yeah. Do you know that people are using AI to try to bet the markets? You know this? Like when it comes to what's being invested in and what's being sold, it's more and more being influenced by artificial intelligence machines. Just think of just take that in. Like these investments, these winners and losers, they have consequences that affect real human beings every single day. So just take that in. That's this universe. It's awesome. Super awesome. But I am resolved to get through this show without freaking out. Okay. Unlike most chips used for AI, GraphCore's processors were designed from scratch to support the calculations that help machines to recognize faces, understand speech, parse language, drive cars, and train robots. GraphCore expects it will appeal to company. Oh, I already said all this. Oh, jeez, I read it all over again. It's really fascinating. Some of the that's right. I ended at trading firms. I see what happened is once I got to this part with the trading firms, that's where I blacked out, and I almost crossed the point of no return. That would have been terrible to do that even before the first half of the show was over. So luckily I averted that, but I did lose my life. Well, in a manner of speaking, my life within the context of this narrative. But fortunately, I was able to resurrect myself. And operations that process large quantities of video and audio. Yeah, that's true. But search engines, all kinds of really cool and really scary. The utopian, dystopian nature of it all is quite fascinating. I do actually. I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of love it. I kind of dig it. Kind of digging it. I'm kind of digging the vibe. It's a very dangerous, exciting place to be, assuming there's a good outcome, relatively speaking. Those working on next-generation AI algorithms may also be keen to explore the platform's advantages. Microsoft and GraphCore today published benchmarks that suggested the chip matches or exceeds the performance of the top AI chips from NVIDIA and Google using algorithms written for these rival platforms. Yeah, this is one of the great arms races right now. You have the blockchain development arms race. You have the quantum computer arms race, and you have the AIs, and all of it's tied together. And all of it's tied together And yeah, and it's all a race. Also, all of this, it's not just a race to get there first, just to get there first. It's a race to get there first to own the IP. That's the key. This is like all these different powers that have all this concentration of wealth that can use that wealth to immediately go to the front of any line in any market wherever they discover something new and exciting, and just suck all the life out of the room. That's what's going on. So, like the movements that I'm going to start looking for, if I can find some of these stories. I'm looking for the open sourcers, the IP pirates, those types of folks. And if this show grows by any miracle, and people out there that know about such folks, send them my way, and I'll talk to them and share their stories. We'll get to the future focus part of the show. Yeah. Let's get to the future focus part of the show, but let's just change. There we go. Let's change the mood a little bit. There we go. I actually meant to change this earlier, but I'm learning, man. I'll never always remember those things because that's not what I do. That's not what Freeqo does. Freeqo doesn't do things in a set pattern with reliability. That's why Freeqo freaks out. I don't feel. I always talk about myself in the third person, except when I don't, which was right then. But Freeqo goes back to third person just like that. It's not even a thought. Future focus. See-through power sheds a new light on an old problem. One day, the windows in your flying party van will also be batteries. And that's just the beginning of this over-the-top scenario I'd like to present for you as we imagine the excitement to come from a transparent battery that might just end lithium's hold on our battery lives, and also make really cool-looking batteries. Batteries as transparent as glass could power devices in your home from New Scientist. Excerpt. A transparent battery could replace glass in windows. The battery still has a low output, but could eventually add extra storage to smart glasses or cars. Most battery research focused on increasing power outage or energy density, a measure of how much energy can be stored in a certain volume. But Hironobu Minowa and his colleague at Japanese communications giant NTT, they probably say it like that, NTT, decided instead to focus on making a battery that is as inconspicuous as possible. Hironobu Minowa, who demonstrated the battery at NTT's free R&D forum in Tokyo this week, whatever transparent battery could replace glass and windows. The battery, okay, so what is it? Okay, I got a little bit of a thing going together here. NTT DATA transparent battery could replace glass and windows. The battery still has a low output, but could eventually add extra energy storage to smart glasses or cars. Most battery research focuses on increasing power output or energy density, a measure of how much energy can be stored in a certain volume. But not these guys. These guys were looking for ways to maximize space. That's what we're talking about here, folks. We're talking about maximizing space. Now, your little party van. You got that glassy going. You got the utility of the glasses. But the glasses is the battery, so that's more battery storage. So you got longer time to go in your flying party van. You all want one now. You want a flying party van, ladies and gentlemen. What you want is it's a flying party van. It's going to be a van that looks like it's from the 70s, but it's going to have like a little hover skirt around it at the bottom. But like basically right around where the wheel wells are, so you can't see the wheels. But other than that, from that point up, it's just the 70s party van. That's your jammy jams. That's what you're flying around in. And you got the full. Now we're not going to do real fur. We don't need real fur. I'm okay with letting go of real fur. We don't need to be killing animals for no good reason. So yeah, I mean, but if you do, I'm not gonna be holy Jesus and on you if you do. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so it's faux fur now, but still, you're gonna have the full faux fur. 70s party van effect, and we're going to relive the glory times of the 70s party van, bringing it back, and they're going to be flying. And that's what these glass batteries offer us, and my friends, that in and of itself is a joy. Now this next story is a little bit more, well, a little bit more ponderous. And it's also the picture, if you'll notice at the very beginning of the show, I show, I don't show it. That's not good. You know what? I'm going to fix that. I'm going to go to the front of the site here. Let's get to the front of the site here. Okay, so there you go. This is actually the teaser image that I use for this issue of the Freeqo Daily Herald, which you can find if you go to Freeqo.com, which you should go to Freeqo.com. When you do, don't forget to tip your Freeqo. Or not, but you should. It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. I'm Wilford Brimley. On giving Freeqo money, it's the right thing to do. Thank you, Wilford. See, Wilford Brimley is a decent man. He understands me. He speaks my heart. He speaks my love. He speaks my language. I guess he is my everything. I wouldn't tell him about that, though, because there's still some issues to work out there, and sometimes authorities may or may not have been involved. It's the mustache. It's the mustache and the earnestness, the depth of the voice of the Brimley voice with the Brimley beard together. And I love it when he sells me oatmeal. He hasn't sold me oatmeal in a while, but I sure wish he could again. I love Wilford Brimley, and oatmeal is a right combination, and everyone knows it. When I say it, you know it, you live it. He's more than diabetes. He's also oatmeal. All right, let's get to this story. What the heck? The Death of Truth, circa America, 2019. I can picture, insert favorite partisan boogie person here, Soros, Rothschilds, Koch brothers, etc., rubbing their maniacal hands together after seeing the results of this latest poll that reveals that Americans don't really have any idea what's what with what because they don't have anyone they can trust. I have done it. I have conquered truth by concealing it with an avalanche of truth and lies. Shut up, insert boogie person. You don't have to be a dinking dink about it. Poll, Americans struggle to ID true facts from News 24. That is a beauty. No, I just want to pause on that headline. I mean, I like my headline. This is my headline, The Death of Truth, circa America, 2019. But I got to give them it. Americans struggle to ID true facts. That says it all. That's so much. That's so much beauty there. A new poll from the Associated Press Newark Center for Public Affairs Research and a whole bunch of other stuff finds that regardless of political beliefs, many Americans say they have a hard time figuring out if information is true. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say they often come across one-sided information. About 6 in 10 say they regularly see conflicting reports about the same set of facts from different sources. Oh, yes. You know, if you look at the one of the sites that I aggregate, electiongazette.com, and I try to be as nonpartisan in my aggregation on that site as possible, and you will see stories of the left and the right talking about the same thing. And when I say left and right, I mean the left and right factions of America, the left and right political factions of America, as they self-identify. And you will see them presenting, I mean, if you were to believe the Republicans, their Democrats are falling apart. And if you believe the Democrats, the Republicans just saw some horrible stuff and now it's all over. And I say again, and when I say again, I mean on both sides. The again is true. Oh, because they said that before and then it didn't happen. And that's true of both sides. So that's kind of the world we're living in. So Anyway, we're gonna go over more of this because this is one of these stories I'm probably gonna talk about for a bit, just a bit. So, the poll found that 47% of Americans believe it's difficult to know if the information they encounter is true, compared with 31% who find it easy to do so. When deciding whether something is factual, there is widespread consensus on the importance of transparency in how the information was gathered and if it is based on data. Democrats and Republicans alike frequently find the process challenging. Now, they need to put in a lot more than Democrats and Republicans into that, because I'm not any of those things. And listen, man, I'm a human being that, for a variety of reasons, I have the privilege, if you will, of being able to pursue much more deeply the issues around me, the information about the issues around me, the circumstances about which I find myself, whether you consider that current news, politics, philosophy, whatever we're talking about. I have this space to explore with much more depth the ponderings of the day, so to speak. And most of the people who will ever find the show or ever like this show, the same is going to be true for them, probably, for the most part. Otherwise, that's why you would like the show. Because if you didn't have that time, this probably is a boring freaking show. Maybe it's a boring show. No, it's not a boring show. I don't care what you say. It's not a boring show, and I refuse to call it that. So, what we have here is a circumstance in which we have it goes back. Well, first off, this story points to the last story of the show, the one in which I wrote a poem to go along with the story, and the story that we just covered above, where we talked about the IP. And here, that's kind of tied into all of that. It's the hoarding of all of the resources into ever decreasing numbers of individuals. And so we have, within that breakdown, we seem to have developed these very polar camps. Incidentally, the true blue believers, the ones that really actually take the time to fully understand the complexity of their ostensible ideologies, whether it's the conservatives who have a more intellectual approach to understanding what conservatism is and what it is that they're preserving, and on the other side, progressives who have a much more circumspect perspective on the universe, I'll just say. These folks are fundamentally dissatisfied with their own factions, because these folks are fundamentally, on both sides, been locked out of the conversation, in large part because I'm not going to say who zoomed who, which created what, but at this point, everybody kind of sees the high-pitchedness of all of our expressions. And during these times especially, I would say that it is the charismatic pitchers of fire who get the attention and who suck all the life out of the room. It's the Steven Crowders and the Young Turks. It's these kinds of folks that are willing to lob Molotov cocktails at half the country on a daily basis, just so they can sell whatever it is they're selling, or they can get their prestige, or but mostly it's selling. Most of it's about money in the end for a lot of these folks. But I won't pretend to know. I'm not going to say who's what, but whatever it is, it's not anything good. It's not producing products that we really, really, well, I guess, well, a lot of people want to see that product. The rest of us, we don't, but we don't have much choice. There's not a lot of resources out there for folks to hang with that loud a voice if you're not willing to play by the algorithms around you. And the algorithms around you, the Facebook, YouTube, the media, they all have the same algorithms, and they're all mostly pinned on Twitter, I think is at the root of most. And it's all gained at producing flames that get the clicks. Call it clickbait. No, it's flame clicking. What it really is. You're just getting that flame to get that click. And that flame, every time that flame goes off, it just pushes people into these more extreme positions where they have to hold the line. And the ones that are doing the shouting, the Steven Crowders and the Young Turks of the world, in order to keep the audience attention, they got to keep getting more and more shocking and put on bigger shows and bigger extreme everything. And they take the rest of the world with them. And what's happened is it used to just be those folks, but now it's CNN and Fox News. I'm going to make sure I get everyone in here. And now it's so many of... I remember I was there back in 2009, 2010 when new media was really emerging online. And I tell you the truth, when it first started off, it was much more... And, you know, while I'll say I tell you the truth as far as my memory, maybe I'll look back and I'll be like, holy crud. But as far as I remember when it started off, I mean, I remember what I wrote. I remember what I produced in those days. And it was much more journalistic, and there was a restraint. It was kind of, nobody had to tell me to be restrained. You just were. I don't know how to describe what I mean by restrained, but all that's gone. Now the opposite is there. Now it's all about pursuing as much as you can the fire within the audience. And you're willing to do that. You're willing to cast hell and fury on the other side. And you're willing to also give this side this incredible sense of false security. Like, you create this environment. I've seen some of these folks that I've watched some of these folks left and right that I know, the ones that are selling the good news and the ones that are selling the bad. And what they all have in common, though, is the other side is always portrayed as being some sort of dead muddle. So people are, I guess, starting to figure out, because the vast majority of us, we don't really live on these peaks. We're way in the valleys just trying to grow our gardens. And you guys are all screaming at the top, and that's the only conversation those aren't even conversations. They're not even shouting matches. They're just literally they're catapults that are lobbing these flames at one another. So we are in this age of, we have the old cliche, drowning in the middle of the ocean. You're surrounded by water, but you drown. What you want is water, and the only thing around you is salt water. That's, like what I'm doing here. I don't pretend to I'm not doing journalistic work here. I'm presenting the journalistic worth of others, writing my little commentary over that, and then giving my oral commentary here. But I'm not doing journalistic work. I'm just giving opinion here. But even at that, I will be as honest as I can. That I'm not a certain person. I'm not going to create a certain Terrian path to another spike, and that's what these are. These are certain Terrian paths. As you claim this or that, of course, facts are going to eventually be hard to overcome, even perception-wise. And so as that happens, you have to apply more desperate tactics to keep your audience, and even if nothing else, to keep your audience rolling along so they forget that horrible lie that you told them before that was exposed, or that if they discovered that the other side is not as evil as maybe you were telling them they were, and you got to make sure to get them away from that, because you'll lose your market share. It's like, that's I think that's what that poll tells you there. That's the world that we live in, and hopefully I will be the sole. I'm just kidding. It's total BS. I'm not anything. I'm just spouting off and giving my opinion, man. But listen, we have come upon what will be the first half of the show. So we are going to, well, first off, let's switch this on over here. We're going to come back to this movie, and what we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit more. I'm going to take a break here. I gotta get some liquid in me and freshen up the Freeqo pipes. Get the whole feng shui happening inside my skull that has to happen every day. We're all feng shuiing in our skull every day, and that's all I'm doing here, folks. So, with that in mind, I will switch gears, and we'll end this right there. And then we will start the music, and then we'll start the break. I'll see you in about 4 or 5 minutes or so. On the other side, we're going to be doing the rest of we still got, I think we have 4 more stories from the Freeqo Freaks on the Future. And then after that, we hit the news-alites, and we end with our dialecticals. And do stay tuned for the dialecticals, because that is going to be where I end the show with a poem connected to the last story in that set.
Alrighty. Well, that was a healthy ingestion of the foodage items and a brief respite with the alienation of certain aspects of self from self in the form of a liquid retreat, such as that is. And we are unanimous in that.
Well, thank you, Velvet Moon. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Alright. Alright, we're going to settle in here a little bit here. About ready to get... Oh, look at that. That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. That Metropolis really works with the backdrop of the machine destroying itself. That's a good... I don't know, man. I wonder if I should like just pick a movie and like always use it, or like have a stable of movies that I use for this. I have to think about that. I suggest you leave comments down below. And I am, by the way, live streaming, in point of fact, on the Obamacare channel. I did this just to show everyone when I said that the Freeqo Network, part of the Freeqo Network is the Obamacare channel on YouTube. This is the Obamacare channel on YouTube that I'm live streaming on right now. This is the channel, folks. This is the channel. All right, let's get ready to switch the gears up here. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to switch the gears up. Yeah, first of all, we have to pause. You have to pause it. Yeah. I like that. Did they do Radio Gaga? I think that was the song that the Queen did. All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Google, Radio. Wait, that doesn't go with this background music. Do you want me to sing to you? Would you guys like me to sing to you? I could sing to you. I didn't say I could sing good to you, but I can sing to you. All right, here we go. All right. All right. 1, 2. I ain't singing. Are you kidding me? All right. But you know what I am going to do? I'm going to get back into the show now. All right. Give me a spray of bandage for my cut, bruh. Don't worry, we could soon take bandages in a can with us whenever we venture anywhere where cuts and whatnot might necessitate such things. It's creepy, but yeah, I'm living it. Spray painting fiber bandage onto wounds with biomedical electro-spinning device. High-Tech Daily. Excerpt. A group of researchers at Montana Technological University has developed a portable electro-spinning device with a confined electrofield that can safely deposit bandages and drugs directly. Oh my, and drugs. Drugs. I mean, healing drugs, not recreational drugs, you schmucks. I mean, like, the wonders and alls of healing drugs. Drugs. All right, calm down, Freeqo. Freeqo. All right. I've never actually been on probation, but in my mind, I'm always on probation. So, it's kind of the mindset, kids, of the Freeqo, such as that is. To apply bandages and drugs directly onto biological surfaces. The group describes the instrument, which they call the electrostatic and air-driven device, in the Journal of Vacuum Science and Technology. I can't believe that. I gotta remind myself. Listen, when it starts to get too wordy, just back out of there, son. Just back out of there and let it go. Because if you guys want to read it, you can go to Freeqo.com. You can read this stuff. It's all there, man. It's all there, man. I have the receipts. Instead of using the voltage difference between the tool and the surface to deposit the fibers, the new device uses air to spray the fibers out onto the surface like a can of spray paint. In spray painting, pressurized gas forces direct particles toward the surface, creating a sort of deposited material, said Arthur Lane Houston, a mechanical engineering graduate student at Montana Tech. Like spray painting, the EST-ED device is used by directing its nozzle at the desired surface during operation, causing a fiber mat to be deposited onto that surface. By applying the spray paint-like mechanism, this device can be used to cover wounds and provide controlled drug release over time. I don't know why I'm doing a southern accent for this story, but it feels right. It feels right. The deposited fibers adhere to materials containing internal moisture, such as human skin. It's just a positive story of using the voltage difference between the tool and the surface to deposit the fibers. Oh, yeah. This is so beautiful. You know, I have this dream. This is. Oh my gosh, this is. I have this. So imagine. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just gonna. Okay. Hold on. Everybody, listen to me. I'm gonna lay out this theory. It's a little bit ridiculous. Okay. So, future world. Okay, I'm gonna try to keep this politically correct. So let's invent 4 races. We're going to have the plub race, the blob race. No. I'll never remember those. The ABCD race. Okay. So, in this scenario, the A race is the one race that everyone's like, dude, you're a dick. Seriously, you're a dick. So then what happens is then maybe the D race. The D race is like, dude, guys, you're so awesome. You're the best. D race is best. So, the BC race, they're in the middle. You got the D race, they're apex race. The A race, low race. And then these skins come along, right? That you can actually wear, and you could be any race or ethnicity, whatever you want. And then next thing you know, overnight, in a beautiful show of defiance. This is how the movie ends. Okay? This is how the movie ends. Everybody wakes up one day and wears the same color. Of course, it's the D race. Are you kidding me? Of course, it's the D race. Everybody becomes D race. That's how the story ends. You thought I was going to say everybody's like an I Am Spartacus thing. So everybody comes up as the A race and everybody reveals, oh my gosh, we all wanted this to end. No, everybody just becomes D race. That's how it is. I'm sorry if I set you up, but I think that was a story that was, I'm going to say worth telling, but still, that's pretty fascinating. Now imagine like that's going to be in our kits then. That'll be part of our, imagine having that, like you just kind of, because I wear the, of course I do. Of course, you guys know, you could tell from the green skin. You could tell what I wear. Of course I wear Dockers and pockets and gurus of pockets. So I'd love to have one of them pockets everywhere I go with like this spray that I spray it on no matter what. It like instantly like, I even look at, what happened to Sean Taylor, the Washington Redskins cornerback. He got shot in the leg, intruder, and he bled out. Imagine if you had like something like that spray thing. You go, psh! Maybe he still would be alive. Maybe he would have been retired, or maybe I don't know. I don't know if he'd still be playing. Probably retired. So that's exciting. The possibility there. See, I didn't add any dystopian stuff to it. That's cool, right, guys? No dystopian stuff in that story. I'm a decent human being. Converging on a new way to science. Shifting how we process and synthesize information across multiple disciplines could lead to a new way of making science, a way called convergence research. A revolution in the creation of scientific workspace. From Scientific American. Excerpt. Scientific research is undergoing a transformational change. Highly specialized gene therapies now cure once incurable cancers. Personalized medicines and big data help doctors treat and prevent diseases better than ever before. The ever-advancing technologies behind these breakthroughs are driving a new paradigm of cutting-edge, integrated research across multiple fields and industries that have been historically distinct disciplines. Many have defined this shift as the convergence revolution, one that shares methods and ideas from chemists, mathematicians, economists, computer scientists, biologists, physicists, engineers, and more to improve the lives of millions, if not billions of people. Now that's where I want to slow their roll. That's why, listen, I am not anti-scientist. I'm not anti-intellectual. What I am is, I am anti assumption that these individuals, as brilliant as they might be, might have unlocked the holy certainty for defining what it means to be human, for actually coming up with the objective valuation of value based on whatever algorithms they want to tell you are really the keys to the universe. And I happen to be listening to this guy. I like him in general. Gad G-A-D-S-A-A-D. And he's a self-identified atheist, and pretty he's not at all a nasty human being. He's not vicious or anything. He's a cool dude, but he's pretty unapologetic in his utter disdain for religion and religiosity, and he puts a lot of he puts a lot of certainty in the assumptions behind his valuation of exactly what religion is. But anyway, he was talking to some gentleman, I don't remember his name, but he is a guy that is developing some new methodology for organizing. And he's into this, actually, they didn't even use this phraseology, this convergence model of research or convergence, but they did talk about the interdisciplinary is the phraseology that they were using. And it's interesting, the one guy, in the beginning of the stream, there was a question about, oh no, never mind, that was something else. I almost mixed things together. Never mind. If you're not certain, don't repeat it, sir. That's the rule. That's part of the process that I try to do here. If I'm not absolutely certain, then I don't want to say it. But or I'll let you know I'm absolutely not certain, and then say it. In this case, I'm not going to say it. But this gentleman, though, was describing how he and a friend of his were coming across this multi-discipline evolutionary approach to how humanity could and should organize. Well, he didn't even say could. He just said how, basically, essentially, he spoke with the language of certainty, how humanity should organize. He presumed to understand how humanity could organize. That means what these guys always seem to miss, at least to me, what these guys always seem to miss is they imagine that there is an objective and logical and reasonable way to construct the most practical method for humans to interact. And they have an assumption that all humans want to live in the same way. They have to. I mean, because they have to assume that all humans have the same valuations to go to the same place that they want humans to go to. They're certainitarians. When they're talking about, well, Gad was talking about how there are people like this gentleman. He gives religion its place, so to speak, in which he allows that religion is a useful vehicle for people to be able to operate in the world for a number of reasons. And in some ways, he believes that people will always have religion. Maybe it's a fundamental part of who we are, at least for the foreseeable future. Although he didn't say that. He didn't add that. You know what? I had to stop. See, I want to add qualifiers because I naturally add qualifiers. These people do not add qualifiers. They don't add the uncertainty. They speak with certainty because they're performing in a way. I mean, my overall view of Gad is I like him. I don't have an issue with him. I think he's a good guy. I put him in the good guy column, so to speak. The pulse of my mind that assigns this valuation of good and bad person or whatever. But he's in the good side. So I don't want to come across too harshly about him, but but he does have that measure of certainty. It's interesting to see it in this area. In a lot of ways, he is a man who does seem more comfortable with uncertainty than a lot of folks. Is one of the reasons I like him. But in this area, it's pretty rigid in his approach. Even in when this gentleman outlined basically this supposition that he and this other guy had come up with some new way for humans to organize. It's all these folks. I don't understand that. I don't think fundamentally. So I always made this joke. I'm going to make this joke over and over again. Well, maybe it's not a funny joke. Maybe it's not a joke at all. In Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, they are asking the computer, what is the meaning to life? And the computer comes back and says, 42. They're like, what do you mean? What do you mean? That doesn't even make sense. And the computer says, well, you didn't ask the right question. And so I think that more likely it would come back and the computer would say, there is too much data to process. That's the answer. That there's no computer, there's no human synthesis computer that will ever get to that place to say, what's the meaning to life? And that is the ultimate question as far as the ideational justification for your claiming of herding people into certain positions. Gad felt that religion, just broadly religion, that it was the fundamental impediment to humans being able to come to fruition. And it was the cause of most of all the aspects of religion are decidedly to the negative. And he doesn't understand that religion isn't really, it's a non-issue. The core issue is basically it's the ideational construct, whatever form it will take. You don't need religion. You can have all types of vehicles of power. Ideational constructs that allow you to put one group of people in a holy status and another group of people in a subhumanized status. When it becomes dangerous is when that metamorphoses to this group that can identify with someone who commands a level of confidence that creates the demigod, charismatic leader, demigod relationship. That really, that's the element that ultimately leads individuals to kill and to die, to be willing to die. And it's not religion. It's the human's compulsion to own the certain, even though the human isn't capable of doing so. Well, I'll have more to say about that, I'm sure, as the show goes on, but I'll just leave it at that for now. Take out the trash gas to avoid blackouts. Siloxanes, say it with me, siloxanes. Thanks to siloxanes, so-called trash gas can still produce power. Supercharged trash gas could produce more energy. Futurity, this is green energy. Alright, let's see if I can read this right now. The researchers conducted the first chemical analysis of how siloxanes affect biogas. They found that siloxanes increase the reactivity of biogas, leading to faster ignition in engines and the release of more energy, but the siloxanes in the biogas can damage those engines, typically power-generating gas turbines and reciprocating piston engines. So So great. So what are we going to do about it? This sounds bad. Stay with us, folks. Siloxanes are highly ignitable, says Margaret Woolridge, professor of mechanical engineering and director of the Dow Sustainability Fellows Program at the University of Michigan. I can't believe I've read that old thing. They change the chemistry of biogas like crazy. The stuff is like rocket fuel, literally crazy reactive. Wow, I love that. You know what? That I now am a fan. Okay, Margaret? I am now a fan of Dr. Woolridge. I'm assuming you're a doctor. Yeah, professor. Yeah, you're a doctor. Dr. Woolridge. They change the chemistry of biogas like crazy. The stuff is like rocket fuel, literally crazy reactive. The siloxanes essentially change the biogas's flame speed. Oh, that's a great phrase. I really like that. Flame speed. Oh, man. I wish I'm not going to hold on to that. Somebody else take off with that and run with it. Which is a measure of how quickly a fuel combusts and drives a turbine or piston. Biogas is composed mainly of methane. There's methane gas in nature, but it also produces when organic material decomposes in landfills, along with hydrogen, carbon monoxide, and other hydrocarbons. Methane is the main component. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So, what they're gonna have to figure out now is how they can account for the damage. So maybe we'll have to start thinking about building us some siloxane engines or something. Get that trash gas in the tank. Yeah. Let's use that trash gas, baby. Let's get that trash gas rolling. The cost of digital social intelligence. Questions are being raised about programming our AI to be our social conscience in the digital universe. Here, the question of cost is risen, but this is not the only issue brewing. Let's see if I remember at the end of this to get back to that, because you never know. Socially aware algorithms are ready to help from Scientific American. And here's an excerpt, rather than training the model to simply minimize the overall predictive error rate, we can instead train it under the additional fairness conditions that no racial group is treated substantially worse than any other. Doing so will generally cause the overall error rate to be higher, since the fairness conditions only make the problem harder. Or if the error disparity stems from a lack of data from the minority population, it can be improved by gathering more data. This, of course, requires the investment of money and other resources, and it's incredibly more and more complex, more and more layered, more and more types of data sets need to be gathered. In the interest of assuring diversity within our AI, we will significantly drive up the cost of any company being able to effectively use AI, which is probably a good thing for corporations like Microsoft that are investing in technologies like the one we described above. I don't remember what it is, but I'm sure somebody else does. These trade-offs highlight a fundamental but often painful truth. Algorithmically enforcing social norms like fairness, privacy, and transparency will come at a cost, usually a cost to accuracy. Yeah, there's the theme going on here, Bear, by the way. I don't know if you pay attention, but when I do these shows, I'm trying to do stuff. I shouldn't tell you about it, should I? I shouldn't tell you. Show don't tell. Actually, I'm going to tell sometimes, because I also have a belief in, at some level, of stepping out of the art, so to speak. When you're manipulating the audience, let the audience know it. That's what I say. Well, especially in this world, in this realm, and we're all manipulating each other to a certain degree. But whether we're transparent about that manipulation or not is another matter altogether. I'm going to be transparent in my manipulations, and it's kind of fitting when it comes to this story. The idea. Again, we're looking at algorithms and this kind of, I believe, a hubristic belief that somehow that we can maximize the data sets and produce the certain result that says, aha, look at this right here. We got it. Hey, Frank, hold on, Frank. Jimmy was by the other day, and Latoya, she was working on that 4-gram algorithm. You know, the 4-gram one that dealt with the penultimate thing there. Yeah, the hybridizations. Right, the hybridizations. That's what you got. We're ad-libbing here. Can't you do better than that? Man, I'm sorry. I'm not doing well. Anyway, the hybridizations, whatever you want to call it there. Yeah. Apparently she's nailed it. What? Look right here. Come here, Latoya. Yo, what's up? I'm Latoya. Yo, you don't sound like a Latoya when I think of Latoya. Well, you should think about the Latoya that you're thinking about, but it would be racist of me to actually do an impersonation of Latoya. So this is Latoya. Yeah, all right. Yeah, if that's what we're doing, all right. Latoya. Thank you, Latoya. Yeah, I am Latoya. Right. So what do you got here? Well, like I said, the hybridization. Wow, so freaking original. Hybridization. Wow, way to stick me with that, buddy. Anyway, the hybridization. Well, look, it's produced. Look. Now we know what it is. What human is. There it is. It's right there. So, as you can see, these are the points. These are the love-hate thingies over here, and then they're. You see the way they spike? That's really fascinating, isn't it? What do you mean it doesn't look like it? Yeah, it doesn't look like it should look like that. What do you mean it doesn't look like it should look like that? It looks crazy. That looks rough, man. No, that's what it is. That's the algorithm. Listen, man. Sometimes you gotta cut a few arms. Literally sometimes to get it right. All right. Yeah. Just let that sink in. Just let that sink in. Because that's kind of what you see over and over and over again. It's these folks that, they end up surrounding themselves with, you know what? Never mind. Sorry. Never mind. This is only at most a 2-hour show, so I gotta discipline myself. See, this is part of the Freeqo too. Because that would have probably led to another freak out, another long litany of stuff that in the end would not have been litanized. But here, I began this by saying the question of cost has risen, but there's not the only one issue brewing. And that is, again, you talk about soft tyranny. If you were to create an environment in which most of the critical ways in which our market, our government was being manipulated and guided was through all of these groups desperately using AI as factional weapons of war to the advantage, to build vehicles of power to the advantage of their faction. And everyone is going for the zero-sum game of, not the zero, no, sorry. Everyone is going for the, for the ultimate kill, the final victory. Everyone wants to be the big IP force power at the top, to maximize access to the critical IP and the critical force influence that makes you in a position of being a Citadelian. And at that point, maybe the world will have maybe 4 or 5 maybe Citadelians. Maybe we'll go down to, I imagine right now we have maybe 30 or 40 in the world. Anywhere from that to maybe 100. These are individuals that truly, especially within the lands in which the at least for a whole nation, at least within the framework of one whole nation, that they have the power, the expectation that they can realistically be, well, they can realistically call upon force influence for the good and or for the ill, with little concern for consequence and little inability to outwardly live in joy, the fruit of daylight, I guess you could say. The Citadelians. Yeah. All right. With that, we're going to go to the next part of our universe. So let's go from this to... All right, let's try this. This is Freeqo Lights the News. A News Alike feature. Oh, we're starting off with a big old juicy story. Look at that. Look at that. The great Kanye. Wait. Oh, let's do it like this. Ready? I imagine he hears that kind of music everywhere he walks. Like, dun, 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 dun. You think Kanye is like feeling that kind of swag in his head? I bet he is. The Kanye Jesus Osteen effect, merchants of culture. And I confess to not to have watched this spectacle outside of catching a few clips on shows by YouTubers that took the time to laugh at this latest display of boomerism. Cringe. We'll have to wait and see how this fully plays out to make final conclusion as to whether this is boomer or just cringe or just boomer or both. Kanye West demonstrated Christian leadership after 9 days of conversion by hushing one person who dared say amen or something while Kanye was talking. That was cool. That was total Jesusing right there. Anyway, Kanye is one of the populars saying Christ is Lord at a time when saying Christ is Lord is like saying, look at me, call me a bigot and destroy my life. It also means Kanye will have a cha-ching gang showing up to buy his gears, even if they have no idea who this guy really is. He found Jesus and then found Joel, one of his own merchants of culture, sucking all the life out of the room for the glory of the sound of their own voice, singing Amen as the chests keep rolling in. And another one, and another one, and another one. Kanye West Sunday service at Joel Osteen's megachurch has a chaotic start, strong finish. Yahoo News. What? It's like they're reporting like it was a football game. Well, it started off in the third quarter there, and it looks like, it looks like it was, a little bit of an issue there. You look like the Kanyes and the Wests, and at one point you thought, are they on the same team? I'm not sure. Aren't they different? I was a little confused who the actual teams were in the game. That made it really hard to follow. Yeah, that does tend to impede one's ability to follow a game if you're not sure who's on what team or what teams are teams. Yeah, that's the thing is at this point, Kanye doesn't have teams anymore. There's just this fractured universe of competing Kanyes that are at any one point briefly atomizing in the form of another holy relic of the past. He brings the Christo cringe back into the vogues, at least for a brief period of time. One wonders how long his journey will go. But I just want to say in all seriousness, no, seriously, I am a Christian, so I do want to say, brother, man, Joel Osteen is not the water of life. Just run away, dude. This is not a good. I tell you one thing you never want to mess with. Like, like most Christians may know this. I'm not sure if they do, but there's one sin that if you commit that you can never be forgiven of. And I'm sure that if I say this, like, and if this video ever gets any audience, there's bound to be somebody who's like, no, man, look, you have to look at this guy's videos. Look at these 15, 30 videos. And this will tell you exactly that he's right. That he's right. Listen, man, Osteen is not the way, my brother. Anyway, the sin is that people don't fully know is blaspheming the Holy Spirit. I'll tell you one thing I would never want to mess with is trying to, in any way, shape, or form, try to pull off a Holy Spirit movement when I wasn't sure. You know, some charismatic Christians, they believe in speaking in tongues. And I believe that's possible. As a Christian, I believe it's possible. I just don't think it's probably as possible as maybe. But, you know, I've been around it. I went through a period of time where I actually was pretty charismatic, and my faith would have been described as being pretty Protestant, Orthodox, charismatic. And during that period of time, I believed, and I was there with everyone, celebrating with everyone, and, you know, I never really, you know, if the Holy Spirit was going to move, it was going to move, and since it didn't, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't mess around with that, because I was like, no, that whole blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, I don't know what that means, but unless something actually moves in me, you ain't gonna see me. I can experience, like, I don't need necessarily to believe it's a strong Holy Spirit move necessarily just to believe in feeling the power of Christ, you know, when you worship Christ together, people, whatever. But yeah, I stay away from that Kanye. I would really think about that part. That I wouldn't wander into that, because that is like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I wouldn't mess around with that. So anyway, let's read their version of the Kanyeing. They're probably much nicer, and, well, I mean, they wrote an interesting little thing there. You know, with the whole football thing. The greatest artist that God has ever created. That would be Kanye West's new self-given title. Brought his Sunday service experience to Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church on Sunday night. Isn't that beautiful? You know, I know when I come before the Lord, I come before you on raised knee with my gold held up high, and I come before you to my pastor, and I say, hey, pastor, hey, look at this. Look how awesome I am, and I love Jesus. Not only am I awesome, pastor, I love Jesus. Hey, yo, can I actually, like, preach, like, on your church stage? Can I do that? Can I, like, these people are, like, part of your pastorage and stuff? Yeah, can I preach to them? Like, look at me, look, I've got gold. I'm awesome, man. I love Jesus. Gonna make some bank, baby. Joel Osteen's like, yeah, come on, guy. Come on up here. Come on up here. That's your guy. That's your leader. That's Osteen. That's your leader. Yep. Oh, boy. After a morning chat with Osteen and his megachurch congregation, during which the rapper declared himself the greatest artist, West returned with his gospel for a performance which was also live-streamed, like every service is, on Facebook, YouTube, the church's website, and on Osteen's radio channel. While it started late, due to the long entrance line, West, did complete the show, which doesn't always happen, and it was largely enjoyed. And they literally wrote, it was largely enjoyed. Oh my gosh, I bet you there were probably, like, the thing is, like, if you look at Joe Osteen, I don't want to get into the who's a real Christian stuff, but, and you know, like me, man, no, I'm not a Christian paradigm, so I have a glass house, so I'm not going to throw stones. I'm just really not going to. So I'm gonna walk gently just because of my glass house. So, anyway, if you look out in the Osteen audience, there's a lot of folks there that I'm just gonna say that they may be there for more for Osteen and the Osteen show than anything else. And I think for those folks, I think on the main, if Osteen hypes it and it's like, yo, look at this man. Look, it's like, look, he's holding that gold up and like, yo, man, I got gold. Look at this. Oh, wait, I should change this so you can see. There you go. You should have him in the background. I got gold, baby. I'm singing with it. Look at me. That's not the picture that I use, by the way, is a stock photo thing. Yeah, it's not actually from the show, but it's actually a pretty cool picture. And I really like if you're watching the video, the rising. He's like, when he rises, I could scroll it up. He's like, he's rising. He's rising. He's rising. That man is rising. Yeah, I might be like, if you see her, if that was like, singing about Christ, that's pretty awesome. Not when you're singing about Kanye. See, you don't come before the Lord. You know how you come before the Lord, Oh, by the way, how all that, almost of that Holy Spirit, Holy Roller stuff is holy bonkers. They whenever they get the Holy Spirit thing, you're like, Holy Spirit, like people always they fall backwards all the time, man. You don't fall backwards, you fall face first for the Lord, because that's that's how you confront the is, was, the always will be, the holiness of holies. The Lord that defines all, the Lord whose name alone commands existence, like that Lord. You don't come before the Lord with a raised gold shield, proud of yourself. And Joel Osteen, you don't let that man on your stage to preach to your flock. But amongst Joel Osteen's flock are, I'll say, people who are more based in, like, it's listen, man, we love you, Joel. Some things you say, I don't know, man. I got some issues, maybe, but I still got, even for me, man, I got some like lines as far as like things actually at least coming close to aligning with scriptures, and I'm pretty sure that what we just saw was like, what? I think that might be. I'm hoping and praying. I'm hoping, unless of course, I didn't see it, so I will give the caveat as this is by some miracle, this thing actually I would look at and say, you know what, it's a gospel message. Subjectively, by my understanding of what an authentic gospel message is. As a Christian, I have some understanding of that. So everybody gathers around, and this is a merchant of culture. This is what we're talking about in the stories above, where you have why it is that we are moving towards where truth is such a hard commodity, such as we can have truth, such a hard commodity to find. It's because. So we have here something that's going on is, I think that progressives, statists, the Democratic Party progressives, I think that they have this idea that they can somehow wish away culture that they don't like, and that they've somehow conquered, and that culture's dead, and that somehow, like, old people will die and the culture will die, but the culture's not dying. It's being transformed, or it's going through some changes, but it's not dying. What they would call the Christian white culture, if you will. I'll just say that. I don't know that really exists, but let's just say in their mind there is this thing, Christian white culture, and then it's dying, and that it's not. It's as a matter of fact, it's if anything, it's probably going to start to grow. And I don't mean actual Christian white culture. I mean more people who are Christian who happen to be white. And I hope that it doesn't get transformed into any kind of racial thing. I don't believe it will, but there's always a danger of that if the threat around them becomes more credibly existential. And I don't mean that's actually existential. I mean perceptively credibly, I'll say, by whatever those standards are. And that culture is being locked out everywhere, and everybody's just they just think that they can insult them away, and they're not going to go away, and these people are willing to die. And I don't mean white, there's not Christian white, whatever. I mean people who happen to be white. But actually, there's a lot of folks that are not white that are also part of this, because it really doesn't matter. It's white. This whole notion of this whole Christian white culture in and of itself, it's not really about whether you're white. It's whether you are culturally white. So you're black, and if you go to a more typically, what you would call more typically white type Protestant church, then you'd be considered, you're part of white Christian culture. So it's not an attack on quote unquote white people. It's an attack on whatever they imagine is this Christian white culture. But they're not going anywhere, and even though the conservatives have even locked them out. That's the thing. The conservatives have they have nowhere else to go. And the thing about them is, like any fringe group, and they're not. Well, I guess I don't know whether the degree to which they're fringe, but any group that even if they just feel themselves fringe, they're fringe in the sense that that mainstream culture has knocked them to the peripheries. I don't mean fringe in terms of that they're extremes. I mean fringe as far as they've been knocked literally to the fringes of having any voice at all. Like they don't have access to many bullhorns anymore. Ever dwindling bullhorns. But yet still they haven't gone away, and they're adapting. And sadly, if there's anything good that could come of it, anything that actually could be consensual, that could actually move all of us across all the spheres towards more consensual problem solving, I'll say. Any opportunities of that will immediately be caught up by people like Kanye West, who will come in and see how you come in to a downtrodden group, and you're like you've got some cachet to you, and you got some swagger, and you've got pop culture appeal, and now you can bring pop culture spotlights back onto someone that feels like they're out on the fringe. They will buy everything of yours. And that, I think, is fundamentally what Kanye is doing here. And I'm hoping and praying that I'm wrong, because ultimately I hope he, being a Christian, of course, I don't really go around, I don't witness my faith by doing. It's not my. I don't proselytize much to folks, but anyway, as a self-professing believer in Christ, I feel quite comfortable in saying, brother, I pray, I hope and pray that whatever path you're on, that it actually is a path that leads you closer to an actualization of the authentic love of Christ, and to see that reflected more in how you live your life. And again, I don't want to get too. I got glass houses, so I'm not going to be throwing too heavy stones as much as possible. And there you have that. And now we go to this story. For our Newsalite focus, we have Hollywood freaks out when Bristol gets a beau. The story being told, the headline being written, these might be more newsworthy than the actual news item covered by the gossip. I call it the gossip for short, because who wants to say the word Hollywood these days? Oh, I just said it. Ooh, I feel like I just stepped in Hollywood. Ugh. Bristol Palin is dating someone, and that is just awful. What's interesting is what the article highlights. The Palins are cringe and socially untouchable. And what it didn't include, the fact that her new guy just divorced a new bride less than 3 months ago. I don't know, man. Who's punching or dating down here? James Moore is dating Bristol Palin for reasons no one can comprehend. The Hollywood gossip. Ooh, I should have said the gossip. Ooh. Got more Hollywood on my shoe. Excerpt. The polarizing former reality star who was also the daughter of a very polarizing former candidate. Polarizing to you? I mean, come on, Sarah. I mean, honestly. See, the thing is, like, Sarah Palin is, like, politically irrelevant now. It's like he's already dead. He's already dead. It's like, this is kind of cheap. Just come on. It's just because it just gets the clicks, and that's all it's all about. It's all about that flyer click, and you see Palin is dating someone. Literally worst thing I've seen all day. Didn't your mother get sick and have to be taken to the hospital? Yeah, but this is worse because it's Palin. Palin. It's Palin. So I imagine you probably say the lividitarians among the lividitarian. That should be a word. Lividitarians. That should be a word. Seriously, I totally nominate that word to be used. There's lividitarians. That's what we got going here. The polar. Okay, I already. Okay, I already read the very polarizing former candidate for president of America. Man, I remember that. I was still conservatarian. And I actually probably, I would have been capable of doing libertarian routines back then, because I was pretty hardcore conservatarian. And I remember, man, when Sarah Palin first hit the scene, and she gave that vice president speech. My gosh, I thought, this is like the next woman. They're going to win. They're going to beat Obama. And then Sarah Palin, after John McCain dies, hopefully in the first year. We all wanted that guy to die, even then. Seriously. Yeah. Conservatives knew what was what about that guy long ago. Anyway, dear Lord, please don't let me wish for people to die. That's what I prayed, because I'm decent. And then that was the hope, that he would die. But I would never pray for that, because that would be awful. And she would be the president, and she'd be awesome. And then she kept talking, and the more she talked, the more I don't know what that was. How did she do what she did for that first speech? And then just totally hose it. And when seriously are we just going to leave these people alone, man? I mean, I think Sarah Palin still got some bit of probably enough to get a Patreon thing or something. Aren't we all living off of Patreon or something now? It's a Patreon-verse. So just leave these people alone, man. I mean, seriously, so what? What the heck? What kind of title is that? What's so wrong? Listen, Bristol Palin is a pretty girl. Now, I mean, there is something to be said for a degree to which you offer a confidence in your commitment to stability. I mean, that's something to consider. Yes, but like implying that somebody couldn't be attracted to this girl and want to spend time with her? I mean, she's alright. I'm not like, I'm not doing smash or pass anything, but I'm just saying she's an attractive young woman. There ain't no thing about her that's not unusual to imagine someone might but it's because you just got this notion that anyone that again, the tribe on the other side, this is what we're all pushing everyone towards more and more. The tribe on that other side is just filthy, subhuman, filthy. It's like, dude, just chill. Seriously, everybody just take a step back and chill. I think if enough people see this video and like and smash and whatever, comment and share and stuff, I would probably cure cancer. So let's get that going. The battle for Taylor Swift's ancient IP. A clever, possibly vindictive hater of Taylor, Scott Borchetta, is rubbing in his owning of Taylor Swift's past music IPs in her proverbial now hated, well, Scott surely doesn't seem to like her face. I just like saying her hated face. I wanted to write her hated face, and I was like, you can't just write that. You have to you have to bureaucratize that a little to soften the blow. So that's what I did. So in her proverbial now hated, well, Scott sure doesn't seem to like her face. His business partner doesn't love it because bad optics and whatnot, but we peanut crunching crowders are just nibbing on the nuts. That's nibbling on the nuts. I didn't write nibbing, I wrote nibbling. And enjoying the riot of the mighty fighting over their IPs, their glorious IPs. I have a few rants in me on IP, intellectual property. Boy, you've heard some of them already, haven't y'all? Y'all been listening and listening? Yeah. Scooter Braun is frustrated with Scott Borchetta over Taylor Swift's music situation, source says. E! Online. Excerpt. Scott Browner needs Scott Borchetta to Scooter Braun needs Scott Borchetta to calm down. The 38-year-old music producer who reps Justin Bieber, Demi Lovato, and Ariana Grande is actually not happy with the way things are being handled by Borchetta when it comes to Taylor Swift and her music catalog, which they purchased earlier this year. Owned! Totally owned! Live by the IP, die by the IP! Yeah! I have no sympathy for this woman. None whatsoever. She is so part of the process, and she is her own little aggressive little IP whore too. They're all IP whores, by the way. For a refresher on the latest music battle between the trio, the lover singer. Wait, is that what she's being referred? I didn't know. How is she the lover singer of all the songs that you could name? And what's the song where she's in? And the haters gonna hate. That's the song whatever song that is. That's the song you should quote her as, because there's a lot of haters going around her right now. Actually, the women's is here to save us from the brutal man with the. No, by the way, I don't like these guys either. But just so you know, I'm not on their side. These guys can get boned up the bone. Royally up the bone. See, now I'm not dealing with I don't know if you I'm not judging you for my Christian morality. So right now I feel like I'm not in a glass house right now. So I'm throwing some stones at you guys. I'm throwing stones at you. I'm throwing stones. I don't like them. No sir. I don't like them. So yeah, they need to calm down. They all need to calm down because they're all just it's just. You imagine what the world would be like if there was no IPs and we could take all this music and we could be like creating all kinds of hybrids and weird stuffs and just playing around with people with their own radio stations everywhere. And oh man, dudes. Yeah, that's the one thing that they want to make sure that we never have access to. See, the one thing, the major impediments to we poors being able to produce the content that we really want to produce our way without any of the artificial limitations that the concerns for censorship, be it market censorship or corporate or government, whatever the case might be, censorships, or whether it is having to produce content that makes money, whatever it might mean. I mean, you have to make money, but if that's the focus, if you're doing it to make money, and then you're creating shows to make money, like we end up getting ever diminished quality content. I mean, even look at like what I see with so many YouTubers that I used to love like a year and a half ago, and how they've changed because of all these algorithms and censorships, and they won't say words, and they won't talk about topics and everything. And then the other ways that, the constant reminders of the likes and smashes and shares and algorithms and people unsubbing so everybody makes sure and all that stuff. And it's all so dang annoying now. The layers of poop that YouTube makes these folks put on their videos, it's making so much of it now almost unwatchable. And these are people that I like, and I still like them. I'm still rooting for them. But it's like, oh man. And so much of that, how much of that is tied to the IPs, and they can't show things, and it's insane. I mean, the fair use was supposed to give us the ability at least to be able to commentate and experiment and artistically collaborate and all this other stuff that you can do with whatnots. And we are left with vapidity, more and more vapidity, that because, I mean, the cheapest content to produce is the content that produces shock and awe with a minimal amount of production. So that would be commentary videos that sling shock and awe. And by shock and awe, I don't necessarily mean like, doom, gloom, politics. I mean, I look at a lot of these, like this Moggs guy and what they do. That insane channel, these fake prank channels. That's shock and awe. Hey guys, how you doing? Hey, everybody, welcome to the show here. Look at here, the refrigerator. Open the refrigerator. Look at that, boom, right there. Sandwich, breakfast sandwich. That's right, everybody. We're gonna be making a breakfast sandwich. Breakfast sandwich. Yo, get that breakfast sandwich. We're gonna dip it into the milk. Yo, where's the milk? Mom didn't get any milk. No, it's like that. That's shock and awe, and that's what we end up with. And the kids love it because kids would love cartoons. They always love cartoons, and that's a cartoon. We live in a cartoon universe right now. Like, cartoons pretty much dominate most of our lives, and a lot of it has to do with this right here. This has to do with this freaking IP. IP is how you can have these SJW lords and ladies that have infiltrated the boards of the great empires of IP, and now they're taking all that IP and they're converting it to their property, they're making it their gods and goddesses, their idols, their sacreds. They're transferring their culturally appropriating patriarchal culture. It's kind of harsh, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of harsh, and they can do that because IP protects them. And see, you know what ultimately protects IP? Government guns. That's what does it. If you take away the government guns, who the heck is gonna follow this? Nobody. Honestly, if I wasn't worried about government guns, I would not be worried about IP in the least. I follow my IPs because it pays to follow your IPs, but IP is basically like, from my perspective, it's a giant filter in the flow of information, and it filters out all the nutrients, and it leaves nothing but Basically, it's kind of like trash water. It's what it leaves you with. It's a filter that takes out all the pure and good and leaves you with trash water. And because you've grown up with it all your life, you don't even know it's trash water. I didn't realize I was drinking trash water, and I didn't really start even to become aware of the fact that I was drinking trash water till like my mid-30s. I'm in my 50s now. Dialecticals. We get to drone bashing in the Dark Continent. Pay attention to the African experiment currently underway. Many of the powers of the world are looking at Africa as a living laboratory to test a number of technologies covering everything from distance learning to remote population control. And on the remote population control front, the U.S. military is using Africa to develop more flexible air bases that can be set up quickly and could be largely equipped with a fleet of multi-purpose drones, enabling the military to more easily and fully control the air and send air power rapidly to a new target of opportunity. The testing in Africa will be applied worldwide, and trust me, it's not just America that's in Africa. There's a number of nation states that have a number of contracts with a number of even some of them, in many instances, you have governments that have contracts with multiple nations. So they have multiple forces within their country doing things. It's like what's going on in Africa is insane. And it's terrible because it's, I guess you can call it gentrification, is if you want to call it that. A planning of a new round of colonization is what's going on. But it need not be the case. This obscure, costly airbase is the new front in the battle against violent extremism. Small Wars Journal. Interesting title, interesting phrasing. And, you know, they are going to be used for purposes which you would argue are good. They are actually going ostensibly, you know, not sure. I'm sure some of the groups they target will actually be bad guys. I'll say that. I have a feeling that at least some of the people that they target for death are actual bad guys. At least some of them. And that's a good thing. The rest of that, probably not so much. On a sandy patch of land in Niger, at the edge of the Sahara Desert, lies the Air Force's newest base. It's all but unknown to the vast majority of Americans and is shrouded in secrecy. Not any longer! But it represents one of the biggest construction efforts in Air Force history and a new front in the fight against extremist militants in the African continent. Welcome to Nigerian Air Base 201. U.S. Africa Command on Number 1 announces that the new air base in Agadez, Niger, designed to house armed drones and other aircraft that have been operating out of an international airport in Niamey, Niger's capital, had begun flying intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions that week. Critically located in central Niger, Air Base 21 is positioned to strike terrorist groups and extremist militants and others, including fighters affiliated with Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State and others, in countries throughout the Sahel region, which spans the width of the African continent south of the Sahara and includes parts of Mali, Sudan, and Chad. Air Force General Jeff Harrigan, commander of U.S. Air Forces in Europe and Air Force in Africa, said the site was chosen specifically for that geographical advantage. Flexible and diverse postures across the African continent enable us to facilitate operational needs and better support our partners in the region. Our contractors are whatever. Never mind. Just follow the World Bank, and that's a good place to start. The IMF, those are good places to start as far as figuring out where U.S. forces might be. Harrigan said in an AFRICOM news release, the location in Agadez was selected in conjunction with Niger due to the geographic and strategic flexibility it offered to regional security efforts. Yeah. Yeah, that's what's going on there. So we have a lot of stuff going on in Africa. Keep your eye on Africa, folks, for a lot of reasons, for good and for ill, because honestly, I also see so much. I mean, part of me is like, sometime in the near future, I could see myself emigrating to Africa because there's going to be such awesome opportunities there. It's going to be the new America, maybe within the next 30 or so years, I think. It could be. It could be, or it could be China, U.S., Germany, Japan, India, Inc. Let's hope it's not McDonald's-ized. It's not. It's not McInked or McCountryed. Alrighty, let's get to the last story here. This is our. Well, it's going to be. This is the dialectical poem, which I talk about a story, or I cover a story, and then I at the end I read a poem. Of course, I'll talk about the story too. So there we are going to be talking about the gay science dilemma with a poem. And the story is here, and the poem follows below. How earnest research into gay genetics went wrong, from Wired. Excerpt. When Vidi saw the app, he tweeted it out, tagging Neil and Guana along with the Broad Institute. I didn't know whether to say it's worse than we thought or this is exactly what we told y'all was going to happen, he said. He waited a few days, but Neil and Guana didn't respond. So Vidi, who by now had left the Broad and was working at genomic software company Seven Bridges, started an online petition to pressure Gene Plaza to take down the app. Within a week, 1,400 people had signed it, as the New Scientist reported. Neil says he and his co-authors were still discussing a course of action when Vidi launched his petition. He was tempted to ignore it in the hopes it would go away, but as reporters began contacting Neil and his colleagues, they decided to write a letter to Gene Plaza, sent on October 14th. It called the app a gross and dangerous mischaracterization of their work and urged the company to take it down. At first, Coletta and Bellinson held firm. They informed Neil they had made some changes, including adding a second disclaimer that said, "This app does not predict same-sex attraction." And they moved the majority of Bellinson's essay behind the app's paywall. But the app was still up a few days later when Neil and Guana flew to Houston for the 2019 meeting of the American Society of Human Genetics. On the opening day of the conference, news reports revealed that Ugandan politicians were moving to reintroduce a bill that would make gay sex punishable by death. So, the app, by the way, is a test to see if you might be gay. And so these guys did this study in which they're trying to figure out the cross-referential ramifications, like basically the understanding, I guess, trying to understand sexuality in general, like at a practical, scientific, to the degree to which we're capable, so we can understand what is it about the human organism that produces, say, organisms that are attracted to the same sex, organisms that are attracted to multiple, all these dynamics of sexuality. Why is it that we're predominantly heterosexual? These kinds of questions. And so when they're doing these tests and their studies, I guess they're coming up with, right from the start, the worry is that basically this could lead to some form of kind of like a race realism kind of thing that you're in. If you find anything that could be bad for the narrative, that could suggest in any way, shape, or form that homosexuality, for instance, was a deviancy, something along that line, then that could lead to things like, suddenly, if governments suddenly have the legitimacy of science in any way, shape, or form, that you end up with gay people being killed. And I would say, like, there's so much histrionics over here in America about gay rights, but honestly, I mean, they're right. It's like it's very dangerous to explore these questions. But at the same hand, we need to explore these questions. I mean, I don't have an easy answer, but it's like even I mean, as far as the race realism stuff goes, there are genetic differences, and so that those studies, they're difficult to have right now because we live in a time. We live in a time. We live in a society. Sorry about that. I shouldn't have claimed that we live in a time. Let me back that up. We are constructed to assume certain valuations at present that, well, I guess you could say we have a lot of highly motivated, I'll call them subjectively. I think most of you would agree with me, though, on this subjective evaluation. These bad actors who have been using race realism as justifications for hardcore racism with very real, direct, violent effects upon individuals. So, like, that's a concern that we kind of navigate. But yet, looking at the different elements of our genetic composition within races is something that's essential to us. Like, we have differences, and it's essential to understand those differences if for a number of reasons, including most essentially being able to get more customized treatment to the degree to which that's needed as far as our preventative care. And there's going to be differences, I'm assuming. So knowing those things are important, and knowing even the biological, all the different differences with individuals who, maybe there are other differences, and these are when you're starting to look at gay people and starting to think, well, how else are you different from heterosexuals? That's the dangerous question immediately, and yet it's a practical question if you're in a consensual reality, a reality in which people operate with a high level of consensuality towards one another, and we don't all feel so threatened by one another's potential identities and perceived needs and or perceived threats against us, whatever. So questions still need to be asked, and I say we ask the questions, come what may, all the dangerous questions. That's one of the things this show's about, even though I try my best not to do the swears and the cusses and all that, although I will swear and cuss sometimes. But this show is going to talk about the stuff that whether it's stuff that you're not supposed to talk about if you're in the conservative camp or the progressive camp, whatever the case might be. I'll go wherever the assemblage for that day leads me. And so this is how I'm going to close it, with a poem. Yeah, we're going to do a poem. Some Mirror is the name of the poem, and the poem. Now I'll do this for all of these. The last story that I pick, the poem is somewhat loosely based on the story. Sometimes I don't know. I don't know where this will go. This is the first poem. So this poem is called Some Mirror. Vidi salt the grind app, a mirror belongs to the eye. By now, truth was a danger in the virus at the core of the code. Viti la coleta. The mirror blanks the stars. The depth destroys the art. And with that note, I think that we're going to punch this puppy in the head, so to speak. And I want to remind you to, at the end of the day, if you like this show, if you like what I do, then you go to Freeqo.com, you go to the top of the page there, and you hit on the ye old tip your Freeqos. And when you do the tip of your Freeqos, then you have your options to pick for the $1, $2, and $5 tip, and then the you can pick which show. I have not started these shows yet, but Freeqo Talks the News, that's the shows. I'll be doing Freeqo Dialecticals on Monday. This show's Monday through or Tuesday through Friday, and then the Freeqo Daily Herald that comes out every day, Monday through Friday, and I may even have weekend editions for that. But anyway, there you go. With that, I think I bid you all adieu. I thank you all for joining me. I am Freeqo, and this has been my show.